It is here, the wait is no longer for Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest. Now, they have gone out pretty fast with translating this, so much so that like a bunch of fans others went out there and translated the first chapter. Now, there are 2 chapters that are out, I have to stress, and they haven't got that, and they said they aren't going to be able to get to that one for a while, so for this we're going to be talking about the first chapter, and then as soon as chapter 2 is translated we're probably going to be doing a separate video on there. But with the general synopsis of what we did know about this chapter, including the facts of like what already from the rules and what people have already dissected, I'm not going to pretend that's like I wonder what's going to happen next for the most part, because I generally know what the general plot is going to be for this manga. But one thing is that we got some very interesting information from this chapter about what's been happening since then, and it's pretty much just straight after like chapter 545, because it takes place in that last panel of like, let's go on a 100-year quest, guys. Like, it takes place pretty much just there, right after that. So don't, like, for the people and all that who were expecting like if we were going to be getting a huge time jump, or if it was going to be a couple years later, no, this is going to be taking place like in that little bit of a like year or two that like that they had. So this interestingly starts way a couple hundred years before Fairy Tail started. This started like around about, let's say, from current Fairy Tail, whereas like year 700 and all that. This is like 633. And we get to see this old man that was like crying, seeing like how people were being tortured and destroyed, and he's like, magic is not an evil power, and like wizards use it for protection and good, and for now I'm going to like for us to come together as one. This is the first time a guild was being created. This was the first time that we ever got to see anything like this happen. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, which a lot of this is going to be focusing on is the first original guild, which I was like, that's something that's never been talked about, like who the originators were, or like different continents and stuff like that. But we go start off really the story talking about the brand new members of Fairy Tail. Like, we get immediately introduced, the Marco introduced like that there are 3 new members to the guild. There is like one cocky ass noble looking guy, there's one like shy kid that's got like black and white hair, and then there's like one girl there as well, one shy girl. And they go there, and it's like you see all the people there, it's like, hey, and all that, welcome to the Fairy Tail Guild, and all that, all gonna be open, and it's like, and immediately it's like you get to see like a few old faces and all that. You get to see Gargiel and Levy kind of goofing that up. Same thing with Jet and Droy, whereas like they were the it seems like they were the initiation test, whereas like they had to kind of go against them to see if they were up to the challenge. Then when I thought, I was like, oh, we're gonna actually find out more about some new members, straight up the guy was like, a new home and all that, this is really the strongest guild and all that, and say that the best in theory, all the other guilds are shit, Fairy Tail is surely the strongest guild in the world, please give me a new job to do. And it's just like, oh, this guy is so far up his fucking ass. He generally thinks he's hot shit, like, he thinks, like, because he beat up Jet and Droy, and I'm like, it's fucking Jet and Droy, like, and he's like, one day I'm gonna be the guild master, and it's just like, this is where Larxus just has enough of his bullshit, slams him to the ground, and he's like, you really shouldn't talk to people like that and your peers and all that, and it's just like, you're not even worth yourself calling yourself a Fairy Tail member. Boom, he's gone. I was like, oh, well, there goes that character then so much, and it's like, who brought this shithead here? And then it was like Mira's crying, and like, that was kind of Mira Jones' fault, and it's like, I'm sorry, but they looked cool, like they were strong. And then Larxus scares off like the little boy with the white hair, which was like, oh, there goes that character. What about you? You're the last one. Like, and it's like Toka, who already has like the Fairy Tail symbol on her hand, and when we talked to her, she's like, I've always wanted to be in the same guild as Natsu and all that. I don't know why, but I expect her to be very British for some reason. It's like, oh, I love Natsu. Like, I know it's a bit weird, a British person trying to be more British than he is, so we're just going to pretend that she's like, oh, Natsu is my sweet darling, and I'm like, I definitely say I liked the joke where it was just like, oh, it's the Natsu version of, it's Natsu's version of Julia, and I'm like, yeah, and like, Julia just doesn't give a fuck, she's just there sitting there, it's like, is Grey yet? Is Grey back yet? Is Grey back yet? Then I don't care. Like, that's just, I was like, alright then, fair enough. And it was like, their whole encounter though that they were talking about, where it was like, I saw like when Natsu over a year ago and we disbanded, and it was like he appeared to me on a white horse, and it was like I was being attacked by a robber, and he was a prince like on a riding a horse, but he was pretty much more like a fire dragon, and it was like, this is like something that's like, what the hell was Natsu doing while I was gone? And then when they're like, so where's Natsu? Where? And she calls him like Natsu-sama, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Where's my darling? And it's like, you're not going to see him for a while, and it's going to be a very long time, and he won't be back there because he's gone on a 100-year quest. And we then finally, like halfway through the chapter, it was like, we get to see Natsu and the gang. We get to see Natsu, we get to see... I will say, this is the bit where it's like, when it came to the art style, like, especially where it's like, their characters especially, like, I felt like in the colored version they look a lot more like how they are supposed to, but I will say, like, when you look at more the black and white, especially of like how Natsu and like Lucy and all that, they look drastically different. It's a lot more on like the visual facial style, and I think as well, like, one thing that I kudos to, and I even saw like in the first 2 chapters, it's not as etchy as I was expecting it to be as well, because the most that you get to see in like the 2 chapters, though, at least the raws and all that, is like Lucy is like the most fan servicey one, where she's like in a fucking swimsuit and like she like her chest is exploding like it normally does. But it's like, when I saw this, I was like, I was expecting it to be like way more just etchier than it was, but it was like the art style for like some of their faces was a little bit weird. It's not as bad as like Boruto. Like Boruto looks fucking hideous. This was like, yeah, no, this looks fine. I was like, generally, I think I prefer this art style than I did the Fairy Girls. Has always looked a little weird to me. The Wendy one has always been a bit jarring. I like this more than the Sabretooth art style, the Sabretooth / Gaiden stuff. I like that a little bit more than that, the Road Knight guy, and I like it a little bit more than the Grey Ice Trail one. So it's like, I was like, this art style I can get used to for the most part. It's a little jarring, but it's like, this is Fairy Tail, and it's like, I'm used to Ozzy Isn't Zero, and I'm used to like kind of stuff like Ozzy with 63 volumes behind me, but it's like, I liked it. Like, I didn't mind the art style for this, and one of the things is that they're talking about is they're going to go and see the First Guild, which is known as Magic Dragon. We've had different translations to this, so it's Magnia Dragon. We've heard Magic Dragons, like, which would make sense. Where it's like, these are the first like guild and all that, and originated from it, and they're heading to the continent known as Giratina or Giratina. Like, every time I hear that name, I think of the fucking Pokemon. So yeah, I think of the legendary Ghost Dragons. So I'm like, sure. They go to Giratina, and this is where apparently the 100-year quest is going to be taking place. Whereas, like, this continent that's going to be a lot more different from how they describe it, where it's like, we have Ishka, and then we have Alvarez, Ozzy, like, on the 2 siding fronts, and then this is more up north, where it's like, okay, this is what I wanted in Fairy Tail. I wanted to explore more continents, where it's like, I wanted to explore more of Ishka, personally, and maybe perhaps, like, a little bit of, like, Alvarez for the most part, because that would be interesting, or it's like how this place works under Xerath. Like, is Xerath like actually like under control? Is like, what the hell are they doing now? I'm pretty sure they're going under like pretty much a freak out at the moment, where it's like, we just lost all our generals and all the people in charge of us. So yeah, I'm kind of interested in where they're going to be dealing with that. But what the one thing where it's like, they talk about where a lot of guilds get their names from, where it's like I wonder if there are any real dragons there, and like how they're kind of like joking about that. And it's like, well, remember and all that, we're from Fairy Tail, and it's like, do you see any of us fairies on there? And it's like, well, that was just tradition, that people name their guilds after mythical creatures, which they're often used for. Sabertooth, Mermaid Heel, Lamia Scale, like on there, like Quattro Cerberus. Like, it just kind of became a thing on there. And then even when they're talking about like the 100-year quest and all that, it's like, this is kind of where they get a lot of their names from, where it's like, this is something that hasn't even been completed in centuries, and it got the name of that no one has been able to complete it in over 100 years. That's kind of where the general name. And one thing is that this generally, like, when Guild Arts is talking about this, and this is where we got to see that real early panel with him, it's like, he's like, so what are the objectives of the 100-year quest? And he's like, well, you're gonna have to see it for yourself, kid. And by the way, you're gonna enjoy that despair. Like, because guess what? That the reason you failed, and it's like how they're talking about it, and it's like really downplaying what exactly he had to do for his 100-year quest, where it's like the main reason they're saying that he lost was because he hasn't got his friends with him for the most part. And he's like, I'm gonna go with my friends. This is gonna be different. There won't be any room for despair. I'd like to. I don't think Natsu realizes this. He went out and fought Acnologia by himself. And came out A, alive, B, with less limbs and missing organs, and also as C, motherfucker, you had to have 7 motherfuckers fighting with, not even that, you had 7 Dragon Slayers there backing you up, giving you powers, and he was already fighting with other people, and he had Igneal back him up, whereas like he was already in a more weakened state. It's like, mother, don't try and pull that shit with Gildarts. I'm like, fuck out of there, Natsu. Like, where it's like, it's one of those bits where it's like, nah, there was a little bit, it was like, let's try and throw a little bit of shade on Gildarts, and it's like, nah, Natsu's gonna be so much more powerful than him, and like, even him is like, I kind of like that, where it's like, Gildarts is like, fuck you, kid, and he just like karate chops him and starts beating him up, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to see. And this chapter ends with, we arrive at Magic Dragons, and where we see, and I shit you not, and Ozzy as well, I can't, it's hard to dance around this as well, because Ozzy with the next chapter I know about, so they go in there, it has a huge concentration of Ephro Nanos, like just inside the place, and there's a fucking dragon in there, and he's like, how admirable, like, you know, the 99th heroes to enter here. And he just decides to go and all that, and he's like, what the hell is a fucking dragon? And he calls himself the Lord Dragon, Elfcelia, like, that's how he kind of do. He looks a little bit like Weislogia. Like, he kind of looks a little bit like, when I kind of got that look from him, I was like, oh, he kind of looks a little bit like Weiss, for the most part. And it's like, and he's like, let my wishes be fulfilled, wizards. So, yeah. This is technically the first chapter, although this is free for, like, from how I'm understanding, where they released the first chapter for free of this, and then they just released the second chapter. It's like, hey, if you like this, you can, you know, pay it to buy more and all that on their Kondansha site. So here's the thing with this, where I was thinking about this. It's like, how do I, like, with taking the second chapter out of this, how do I feel about that? It's like, well, you look at the first chapter and it's like, we get introduced to 3 characters, 2 of them leave immediately for like jokes and all that, and I'm like, oh, that would have been a shame. I would have been interested in other fairy tale characters, what they would have been doing and all that, and like what they would have been up to. We've got 1 new character for the most part in the new guild, who is, from what we know, Toka. There's nothing really we can discuss with her at the moment with this just chapter. All we know is that she has got like a Juvia complex, which, mind you, I love Juvia. Juvia is my waifu, so, you know, for you guys on the Natsu camp, where I've seen a lot of people like, this is going to be causing some tension, and I'm like, well, she's not there to deal with, like, Natsu and, like, the other, like, Natsu's in a different continent right now, so it's like, yeah, like, the one waifu that wants Natsu dick real bad, who will suck it up immediately, unlike Lucy will, where, like, but mind you, she's too dim-witted to, like, kind of go through that. It's like, sure, why not? Give him like a waifu. It's something weird thing to have. Like, it was jokes. I kind of enjoyed some of the stuff. It has an interesting premise that it's like, we're going to do the 100-year quest, and it's taking place literally right at the end of chapter 545. Like, so I'm interested. I know a lot, like, again, a lot of people have been calling this 546 for the most part, and I'm kind of treating it as such and all that, because it's just a straight up continuation. That's just all it is. It's just straight up continuation from what we're getting, and I'm very curious to what people think about, like, we just see a dragon, we just see like Elsevier like just appear in front of us, and it's like, what happened here? And it's like, what was the story with the first guild? Like, we can clearly take and all that being like the first ever guild master that we get to see. But yeah, I can't talk about any of the other stuff because I don't want to spoil people, but we will be addressing that stuff when it comes to chapter 2. Art style, I like. It is a little weird in some characters. I think Grey looks the weirdest out of everyone for the most part. Like, I think Nazi looks fine. I think definitely out of like the two characters I think look the most jarring to me was Urza and Grey. I felt were the most weird. Like, which is weird. I felt like the supporting cast looked all fine. Like, I was like, but you can just tell, and it's a new art. Like, it's not like he's like one of his assistants, so he's obviously had experience on there. But you can tell like it's like this is someone that's clearly has their own kind of art style and still adapting it from there. Question is, we still haven't got confirmation how long this is going to be. We don't know if this is going to be. At the moment, I'm still putting 24 chapters out because that's normally where where a lot of these last. Although, since I know the synopsis now, I really hope it's longer. By that, I mean it should be 100 chapters or something, like, or just how they pace it out will be definitely interesting on there. But yeah, I liked it. It kind of like I felt something again, Fairy Tail again, where it's like there's this little bit of a warmth in my heart, where it's like, I had fun. I was enjoying it. It didn't, and it kind of was slightly washing away the taste of Alvarez out of my mouth. Although it's like even the characters, it's like it hasn't been that long. So, and yeah, we'll get more into some of the crazier stuff with this with 100 Year Quest when Chapter 2 gets translated. So let me know, you guys, in the comment section down below what you thought about the chapter. But that is all from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you guys though next time.